And Patricia Sutanto, thank you very much for your time. I was just interested to ask you about Southeast Asia, ASEAN, the ASEAN region. Obviously, that's a sort of basis for the RCEP agreement. So since the formation of the ASEAN Economic Community in 2016, obviously you've seen a lot of integration between the member states. Indonesia, biggest economy in the region, and obviously a lot of focus on Indonesia from the other member states in terms of opening up trade. Can you give us a sense of, in the last few years, how you've seen that development, the ASEAN deal, economic community deal, open up opportunities for you and open up trade with the neighbors, you know, the immediate neighbors of Indonesia?
Well, to be fair, at first we are quite skeptical when RCEP were being signed without India on it, right? Because India stepped out at the last minute. However, looking at now, my view as business in Indonesia, it's actually better to be in RCEP than not, right? When we look at how Indonesia can do a lot of business with, not just with ASEAN, because ASEAN, we also have our own multilateral agreement, but also with ASEAN plus, we call it. The plus can give actually a benefit to each other, to the whole ASEAN communities. And when Indonesia actually reviewed this together with the business sectors, of course, not all sectors are looking at this as opportunities, but as threat. But it seems that now it's being viewed differently, because after Omnibus Law, the law that Indonesia has ratified last 2020, of course, we still have to revise it a bit due to the constitutional legislations that ask the government to revise a bit. The industry 4.0 that I mentioned, the easiness to do business in Indonesia is getting much better, especially for small, micro, medium enterprises that is used to be quite challenges for them to actually to have more value added, not just for domestic, but also for export, right? So these opportunities on RCEP need to be ratified soon by our legislative, because right now it's still under process for Indonesia because of the common understanding that this might be a threat instead of opportunity. But a lot of detailing has been done since then. And it seems that if we ratify this RCEP soon, the GDP of Indonesia can grow about 0.05% yearly, right? But if we lose out to RCEP, if we do not get ratified soon, actually we will have quite a loss at 0.07% on the chances of more market shares to ASEAN plus. So that's the way the government and the business sectors, Kadin in this regards, view this. But on my sectors, actually on garment and textile, yes, we need to intermingling with ASEAN because ASEAN is already there. But with RCEP, it's bigger spectrum. It's actually good because we right now do a lot of export also to China. China, yes, being the largest producers of textile and garment, but we do also trades, right? We import materials, but we also export back to finished goods, back to China, as well as the rest of RCEP members, you know, Japan, Korea, and so on. So we do a lot of transaction. So it's not just one-sided on my sectors. My sectors may be on net export, but other sectors net import, but we actually need the goods because we don't basically have it in Indonesia. So the interconnectivity among ASEAN and RCEP members is what actually being calculated by all the experts, where the GDP of Indonesia can grow up to 0.05% level yearly if we actually do RCEP because of this interconnectivity, right? So I'm actually looking forward for the RCEP to be ratified by our legislative. I don't know what's going to be revised, but because it's still under progress, but hopefully all can be done soon, because I heard that the rest of the members have done the ratifications. So I'm looking forward for this to be materialized and effective. And I do believe with the judgment that we have on omnibus law, as well as on OSS, the online single submissions that Indonesia has for ease of doing business, as well as a lot of budgets are being put into trainings and educations in Indonesia. I'm looking forward actually to mingling or interconnect with the rest of the RCEP members together. Yeah, this is a togetherness effort, right?
Well, great. And it's great. You're positive about the ratification. You're optimistic about the ratification by Indonesia. As you say, it's been ratified by many other member states. Have you thought as a business, given it is a deal which really focuses on reducing tariffs, and so it has a very big benefit to trading goods, given that's really your area, especially consumer goods, are you, have you thought about how you will take advantage of it, the benefit of the deal to Pan Brothers? You touched on a few areas of sort of going into the different markets there that are member states of RCEP. It'd be great to know what your sort of optimism is for what the deal might do for your business and for your engagement with the other members.
I think it's always the battle of competitive advantage, right? What Pan Brothers can do for the world. And in the past, it's not same level of playing field, because in the past we are not that active with our bilateral agreement. But with this multilateral agreement that we have with the rest of non-ASEAN countries, it actually gives a lot of one-time solutions rather than we do bilateral. Yes, we do some bilateral with Japan, also with Korea, but RCEP has a broader scope, not just towards those countries, but also we have China, we also have, of course, bilateral with Australia, but this has broader scope up to New Zealand and so on. So it gives actually also another chance for us to see what can be interconnected further within the RCEP, right? Rather than we invest a lot in Indonesia, where our neighboring country actually can supply, and then we can supply the value add, why not, right? As long as it's allowed under RCEP, we would like to utilize it to the fullest, right? But again, it all comes back to the value add, the competitive advantage. I keep saying to all my peers that it's not only about productivity, but it's also about competitiveness. At the end of the day, the world doesn't see how much wages that we give to our workers, but actually at the end, they look at the per piece costs, right? You and I would buy clothes, for example, not looking at made in Indonesia or non-made in Indonesia. We rarely these days look at the care label, especially if we buy online, right? So we look at, of course, the style, the quality, and then also, the price, right? So it all comes down to how the market actually view the products coming from any countries in the world, and see how we actually can compete this, of course, fairly. And this RCEP gives the fair treatment for all on innovations, creativity. It's not just a muscle game, but it's also a brain and ideas game.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and you touched earlier on some of the challenges with trade and some of the barriers and bottlenecks. Beyond thinking about those sort of bilateral relationships with the individual countries, obviously there's a whole region covered by RCEP. And I'd be very interested to know, how have you seen in the region, what sort of barriers have you seen to trade, to expanding trade? And what do you think RCEP will do as a region-wide deal for the business environment, for the operating environment there?
Okay, so the challenges would always be every local or every country has sectors that are very strong. Yeah, or you can call it domestically very strong, right? Of course, when RCEP happens, the domestic would get challenges or threat, right? So the way I view it, there would be few years that entering to a country, for example, like Indonesia, where you earlier said that we actually capture 40% of ASEAN, would be, there's a little bit more non-tariff barriers that Indonesia might impose. In a way, please view this as if it's not a long-term challenges or long-term barriers to enter Indonesia, but more towards how Indonesia push the domestic manufacturing or domestic sectors to grow up, right, to mature. Because RCEP happens, if you don't get matured, you will not be able to sustain. But in a way, Indonesia as a democratic country, we have to actually nurture this micro as well as small businesses. Businesses like Pan Brothers, we have done exports for more than 3 decades. So we understand how to compete globally. But micro, small businesses might not view it that way, right? And micro and small businesses, for example, Indonesia actually contains about 60 to 70% GDP of Indonesia. So of course, you know, the government wants to open up the door as much as possible, but then, you know, they need to prepare, we need to prepare the micro, small businesses to be able to compete fairly and squarely, not just in globally or within the RCEP members country, but also domestically as well in Indonesia, which is the main market for Indonesia micro and small businesses. So the way we do upscaling, and businesses like us has been asked by the government to actually include a lot of micro and small businesses within our supply chain, so that they actually can mature faster. The government put a lot of effort to actually focus on the training and upscaling the small, also micro businesses, so that they actually can mature further into more competitiveness level, right? So that barrier will happen, but it's not for long term, it's just for short term. And I think the rest of other country members might do the same. But I hope it's also not for long term, because otherwise, what's the value of RCEP itself, right? So this thing, I look at it is more like short, medium, and long term. And RCEP definitely not just short term, but more medium and long term. And the way we actually plan with the rest of our supply chain is how we actually can interconnect and make it more valuable for each one of us to interconnect together, not just with the buyers, yeah, but also with the suppliers, so that, you know, the trust level can be built up from the moment the RCEP effective up to the level where medium and long-term goals of RCEP actually can be targeted or can be realized based on all the studies that has been done by all countries towards RCEP. That's the way I view it. Nothing is short-term here.
Sure.
Everything is medium and long-term.
Yeah, well, no, that's really interesting. And I guess very interesting point you made, you know, saying Indonesia wants to open up. You have the short, long-term and short, medium and long-term view. RCEP is built on these other trade deals. You have the ASEAN trade deal, you have the ASEAN bilateral trade deals with the other member states. People are already talking about what comes after RCEP and whether it will herald a sort of a more rapid opening up of markets. In that long-term perspective that you mentioned, do you see RCEP deepening? Do you see more deals being done? Do you see an appetite for more trade deals for the region? Which, of course, East Asia is one of the most dynamic regions economically. So there's a huge gain for the countries and also obviously for other countries outside the region to get into a deeper economic integration with the markets there. It'd be great to get a sense of how you think that would develop in the longer run.
Okay. So the way I view this, on all the multilateral and bilateral deals, in the past, we always look at goods. Yeah, we never actually go beyond more services, or you can call it more IP, intellectual properties. Actually, my hope actually with I cannot say it's short term, more like medium and long term. With this RCEP, more trust can be built among the members, right? And the intermingling on IP, intellectual properties, can be done as well. And it's for the benefit and optimizations for the members, yeah, and also for the world eventually. Because if I look deeper, yeah, people always feel that, okay, trade deals is all about import duty, tariffs, and so on, but it's actually not. RCEP is a very comprehensive package. It's not supposed to only focus on import duty, but also focus on how we actually can exchange services, how we actually can exchange intellectual property with more borderless scheme. But of course, it's hard to imagine right now because of the way we do traveling right now is a lot of tightening, right? But I think after this pandemic, people can start to see that this is why we do RCEP, not just about selling products with no or less tariffs, but how we can be more efficient using the resources in the world rather than every country build itself. And then we do not even have competitiveness in one country due to anything, can be geographic, can be social, can be culture and so on. So how we actually can make more efficient one to another. So I believe that long term, I'm not saying even medium term, this understanding of multilateral agreements should be upscaling into a more borderless society. So the fair treatment is among all. So the social gap from one poor country towards advanced country will be lessened, and there will be more peaceful environment rather than, the war always happened because of economic view, right? We all know that. But if it's more like the social or economic gap from one country to another country is much tightened instead of more distance, then then the world peace or more peaceful environment can be created. I think through economy, through this RCEP, this is just one step further after all the bilateral agreement. And if trust level can happen, if everyone quite happy with the outcome, my hope there would be more upscaling towards broader members. And people always say about TPP as well. So that hope, Indonesia is not yet the member of TPP, but eventually when we see it and when we look at RCEP and we feel confident that this is a way to go, then I feel more confident that Indonesia government would step up further to more and more multilateral deals. And my hope as Indonesian, as Anna, as individual, that this multilateral can be a step up for more borderless society among all.
Well, that's a great vision.
That's always a hope, right? Because beyond the pandemic, we need to see why the pandemic happens, right? The pandemic happens because of lack of, I have to say, transparency and lack of communications among the world. Now the world have to communicate and transparent and govern with the way they do governance virtually as well as physically. But then this pandemic should be a lesson learned, not just for us, the business sectors or private, but also for the government to see that, look, we cannot do it alone, right? We have to do this together because, of course, we cannot stop people from not being mobile, right? Society crave on being mobile, but how we actually can maintain the sanity of our health sectors or our health in And community is by being together, handling it. So RCEP is a good challenge for all of us, but it actually can be a good benefit towards all of us if it can be implemented based on the goals. That's my view.
It's a great vision, great sort of long-term vision that you've given. You mentioned something very interesting. You mentioned about the CPTPP, which, as you said, Indonesia is not yet indicated a desire to join. There are significant differences between the two, and there are sort of increased, deeper provisions in CPTPP versus RCEP. As a business that's very active cross-border in the region that is covered by both CPTPP and RCEP, do you see the gaps in RCEP that maybe it could be filled by CPTPP? Are there other gaps? What is it you would benefit from as a business from perhaps a deeper level of integration or other provisions which aren't yet included?
Okay, so the way I see CPTPP is actually is more towards how the government of Indonesia concluding the step up on how the regulations in Indonesia are going to be laid out. Because whatever deals that are being done within Indonesia need to be ratified by legislative, right? And all the internal regulations in Indonesia needs to be also ratified by the legislative. So if we are already have a deeper and more provisions on this CPTPP, assuming that we are part of it, we would be part of it, then the regulations that are going to be done internally in Indonesia would actually synchronize with whatever deals that we have with the world, right? So it will give a sense of not just a trust level from all the members of RCEP and CPTPP, but also give more consistency on how the regulations are in Indonesia, being, you know, other countries want to invest in Indonesia or other countries want to do deals in Indonesia, they will see that Indonesia has committed for a deeper provisions that of course would align with our internal regulations in Indonesia. That's the way I see it. Yeah, not necessarily like you said that this would be toward the business side, more like trust level. When you trust someone, you will get deeper and broader, and you would bring more investment or more deals towards the group or the people or the country that you can trust, right? That's the way I see it. Yeah, not necessarily in terms of business or, you know, when you look at the white paper, oh, Anna, this is the same thing, why you want? But the trust level is more psychological, it's more intangible, but actually it gives greater value in terms of what kind of size, what kind of sovereignty that people look at Indonesia. And that's my hope, actually. Not just in terms of business. Not everything can be solved in terms of tariffs. Yeah, I don't think so. That's very short term, but more towards the law, the regulations, the consistency, transparency, the communications, and the ease of doing business is what people look at a country, right? The political stability, right? So that's the kind of I have to say enforcement that I would like to see when the government step up towards CPTPP.
Okay, yeah. Fascinating. Thank you. We mentioned earlier about Indonesia being the biggest economy in ASEAN, but in the RCE group, of course, we have some very big economies like China, Japan, other very developed economies like South Korea, Australia. And this creates a very interesting dynamic, of course, within the region. How do you see that impacting your business and businesses like yours in your sector with these very large markets coming all under, you know, this new shaped deal, which is new on the map, if you like? And, you know, I guess what's very notable is that China-ASEAN trade has now surpassed China-US trade. So do you see the RCEP deal changing the broader dynamics, not just on the economics, but the broader dynamics of the region?
Okay, so this is it, right? So the reason why Indonesia wants to go into RCEP is more towards the interconnectivity that I mentioned. We would like to have a deeper commitment to the world, but also the way I see is that this deepening on RCEP would also give, as well with US as well as Europe, a sense that Indonesia can actually be a good counterpartner, be either bilateral first or later on in the bigger scope, right? So the readiness that we have explicitly stated when Indonesia signed RCEP is actually where EU as well as hopefully UK soon after Brexit, as well as US and Canada, for example, see that Indonesia actually are ready, right? Yes, I feel that force, if can be implemented, actually rather than it's a threat for Indonesia, it's also an opportunity, not just among the RCEP, but the deepening that happens actually would give us forward-looking towards the rest of the world, including Africa. I think right now a lot of bilateral deals, a lot of PTA, FTA that has been stated as the planning by the government in Indonesia is even beyond that. We have a Middle East with UAE. We also have planning with Africa, some Africa countries. So that's a good sign, right? I know EU has been processed, it's quite long. And I know that we are in talk with UK, as well as US also, we are in talk on how we actually can reciprocally benefit each other. Of course, the deal is not as deep as RCEP yet, but then, you know, start with trades and then services, and we hope that it can be deepened further. That's our hope. Yeah, I think there are a lot of things in the US that is good for Indonesia, and we don't have to make it twice here in Indonesia. Likewise, there's a lot of things that US can benefit from the trades with Indonesia, where Indonesia can export to the US, that can give more diversifications for US. Likewise with EU, I don't think we compete in a lot of sectors, but we actually can benefit each other. Same things with UK. So yeah, I think RCEP will give us more interconnectivity. A lot of raw materials that we don't produce in Indonesia, we can actually import from RCEP regions, and then we actually can supply the value-added products and the finished goods to the rest of the world from Indonesia.
Thank you so much. Fantastic to hear all of your views on the different aspects related to RCEP, Indonesia, trade, the ASEAN region. So I think it's been absolutely fascinating to speak today. I really want to thank you for your time to share with us. I hope you'll come back and join us at Asia House again at some point soon. But for now, Anne Patricia Sutanto, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And on behalf of Penn Brothers, as well as Indonesia business community, I would like to say thank you to Asia House. Thank you.